Fun fact, did you know that Lowa, the company name, was constructed out of the letters of the founder's name, Lawrence Wagner? The Lowa Renegade 2 GTX Mid is replacing my Lowa Zephyrs. And you can find a full video of why I chose the Zephyr and a lot of history about the shoes that I've been using in the past, and I will link that video in the description below. But this video we're going to talk about the Lowa Renegade 2 GTX Mid. And the reason I switched from the Zephyr to the Renegade is because those were done after years of using them in different fields, and we also moved to Sweden, which is a little bit wetter climate with a lot of swamps. I wanted to see the difference between a fabric boot and a leather boot in those conditions. So this was a perfect opportunity to do a test. And I have been using the Renegade for a few months now, and in this video I want to go over the things that I liked and I didn't like about the shoe. And you might see they are a little bit dirty because I didn't clean them after last game. I should clean them a little bit more because, well, you need to take care of your leather. Okay, let's get into the first thing, the thing that I didn't like as much, that was the sizing. I thought, well, I'm gonna go from one shoe to another in the same brand, the sizing should be the same. Now when I tested them out in the store, I was a little bit in between sizes, and they already have half sizes, which is really good. But still, I was not 100% sure about the sizing, so I took the same size as my Zephyrs. I don't know if it was the correct decision to do, because after using them for a little bit, I noticed that they were a little bit too big. So then I started buying inner soles that were a little bit higher to get rid of the height difference and get my foot a little bit more encapsulated in the shoe. I was using them in winter, and then I had 2 pairs of socks, so then it was not a problem. It was when I started using it when it was getting a little bit hotter, that I only need 1 pair of socks, that I noticed it was a little bit too big. So with the different soles that I bought, I couldn't really find a good solution. So then in the last attempt, I just bought a cheap leather sole that is just flat. I put it underneath the original sole, and then I started using them, and it was perfect. It works. So in winter, I will be using 2 pairs of socks. I will take out the leather sole, and then in summer or spring, I will be using the inner leather sole to make a little bit more height. This might actually be a good solution to use them all year around, but that might not be the best solution. So if you think there's a better solution, let me know in the comments so I can educate myself a little bit more. And that was basically the only thing that I didn't like about the shoe when I started using it. So now let's go to the things that I like. 1, they're waterproof. Well, happy feet, happy people. If you go to a game and your feet are wet, you're not gonna have a good time. And that's why I tell people to invest a little bit more money in good shoes. And I've been using this in rain and snow. I usually use them in combination with gaiters. If it's like wetter climate or I have to go through wet grass, then I use gaiters together with those shoes. And I had dry feet every single time. And I've been using them in snow in -10, and I've been using them in sand in +30 degrees, and they held up really, really well. There's also the Gore-Tex liner on the inside that keeps the water out, and it should get the moisture from your sweat out. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit. The tongue of the shoe is also completely connected to the sides, so there is no water coming in there, there's no weak spots, so that all helps to make the shoe really waterproof. Next up, comfortability. I think that's the correct word, yes. How comfortable are they to wear? And I must say, I had it with the Zephyr, I have it with the Renegade. As soon as the height difference was fixed, I love wearing them. They're super comfortable, and I chose the mid version. You have the high version, and I don't know if there is a low version, but some shoes have the low version. Now I chose the mid version because then I can use it in as many situations as possible. Because if I go for the high version, yes, it will get a little bit more stability to your ankle, but I also want to use them while driving my car, so that's why I chose the mid version. It is an all-around boot that you can use in most situations. That balance between having a good support in game and being able to use them in other situations is important for me. I'm a very active player, so I need that stability for my ankle when you're playing on uneven ground and you run a lot. And I do 100% like the support they give to my ankle. If I wouldn't wear this one, I would have twisted my ankle a couple of times. The break-in period. People say it's a leather boot, it needs a lot more break-in than a fabric boot. I didn't really notice a difference. It might have been that I was using it in winter and I had 2 pairs of socks that I didn't feel the uncomfortability of a new shoe. They felt comfortable from the start. Now I would not suggest using them for right before your multi-day event, like open the box, go to your event. I recommend putting them on, testing if they're working for your feet, and then do a little bit of walking with it. You don't need to walk 100 kilometers, but just make sure that they feel comfortable on your feet. Breathability, I should have maybe place this right after the waterproof, because breathability and waterproof, it goes together. The more waterproof they are, the less breathable they are. The more breathable they are, the less waterproof they are. So they are waterproof, and that shows in the breathability. Now in summertime, like hotter periods of time, this is not the best shoe to wear in like 30 degrees. You're gonna have sweaty feet. But that is not a significant difference on the Zephyr, where also in summertime with the Gore-Tex layer, breathability wasn't the best. I did have to change my socks a little bit more when it was a hotter temperature. So there's not that much difference between the fabric and the leather version. The weight, they are light for what they do and the stability that they give. They're about the same weight as the Zephyr, so there is not a lot of difference if you go from a leather to a fabric boot. They're about 600 grams per boot, but you get it back in durability. So because they're a little bit heavier, they are built more durable, so you will keep them longer, especially in what we do, running around in the woods, sliding on rocks and not treating them in the best conditions. Next up, the sole. There is a lot of fancy words. If you start looking up the sole from a Lowa shoe, there's a lot of words that they throw at your head. I think it's really good, comfortable sole. And I noticed that they hold a little bit more on flat surfaces like wet concrete. The Zephyr was slippery, the Renegade is a little bit better on that. I also use it in muddy conditions and they have quite a good grip. I don't know if it's because of the pattern or whatever. They are doing a really good job. What I did notice is that the heat-cold transition from the sole to the shoe is better than the Zephyr. I use it in cold weather and my feet were not getting as cold as they were in the Zephyr. And then the last thing is the dampening. It is, if you jump from something, it's not like an air cushion, but it does give a lot of squishiness in the sole, which is nice. It's just enough, it's perfect amount for what we're using it for. And also you don't feel every little rock that you walk on into your sole. With a lot of lighter boots, the sole is not as thick as this one, so you feel every little detail on the surface. With this one, it's nice and comfortable to walk. And then price-wise, good shoes cost money. They are about 230 euros, depending on the shop that you buy or if they're in discount or not. But 200, 240 euros is the price that I paid for those boots. And I always tell people that you should invest in good shoes. It's one of the most important things. It keeps your contact with the earth that you're walking on and the stuff that you're doing. So if your shoes are not good, one, you're not going to be happy because, well, like I said, happy feet, happy person. Morale is going to be a lot better if you have dry feet instead of having wet feet and the water is dripping in everywhere. So I do like to invest a little bit more money in good shoes so they will last me longer. I will have dry feet and they will keep the waterproofness a lot longer because they are durable, because, well, they're a little bit more expensive. And I'm curious on how long they will gonna last me. The Zephyrs, they last me for years. I'm curious if the Renegade is gonna last me the same amount of time, but I think they will if I take care of the leather a little bit more, and this is this thing that I'm gonna do after the video. So my final thoughts about this boot is I would really recommend it to people as soon as the sole problem was fixed, so the height problem of the sole was fixed. So make sure that you choose the right size of the boot. And as soon as that was fixed, it was super comfortable wearing the shoes, and I've been using them in summer, winter, and yeah, I really started liking this, and I'm looking forward to using them a lot more in the future. And as for shoes and any other part of my gear that I'm using, I try to find the best thing that works for the stuff that we do in Airsoft, and I put a lot of time and effort in finding the right gear, which usually means that I don't change my gear a lot. That's also why on my website there's a full section of the gear that I'm using and why I chose that gear. Every gear part has a video where I explain why I chose a certain part of gear, and hopefully that will help you to choose the right gear for the games that you're going to. And you will find that in the gear section really structurized. And if you want to support what I'm doing, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up to date with all the new stuff that is coming. But for now, I want to wish you a very good day, and I hope I see you next week for a new video.